Hey guys, we normally don't like to do these shows during games, but tonight we had to get one in. This is really the only time we could do it. So we're going to do a US Fan TV. We know there's an MLS playoff game. We know there's an MLS playoff game going on right now. Uh, you know what? We got to do what we got to do. Hang on a
That's how
sec.
it
Fix
works.
my audio here. There we go. So yeah, first game of the MLS playoffs in the Eastern Conference Finals was a 0-0 draw between Toronto and Columbus. Pretty good result for
How did
Toronto.
Columbus not score,
I know.
especially
I
at
don't
the
know.
end there?
I
Like
know. I
so
know.
many chances and so close, and yet somehow like the bar, somebody's leg, like
Yeah,
just a
it
screwed up
was.
shot.
Um, I think I have a prediction here. I think Columbus goes into Toronto next week and wins.
I think two things. One, they are playing for something, and two, everybody I think is pulling for them.
There's that plus Toronto. Some of the players on Toronto having a little bit of trouble with the big games lately. So
What?
I don't have a whole lot of faith. So we'll talk about that. It looks also as if Seattle has gone up 1-0. Is that correct, guys? I don't have a TV in front of me, but I do have the internet on Houston. So look for Seattle to. I think Seattle's going to beat up on Houston pretty good. That's my prediction, but we'll see.
I've
They
heard
were
one or two of the
back to
guys
booing
on
Bradley.
Seattle might be having a little bit of
They
trouble with
also
the
have
big
that issue.
games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They were booing Bradley again. We've gone over this, but the thing I wanted to talk about, the thing that really bugged me was this gate issue, where it looked like the crew wasn't, at least maybe it wasn't deliberate, but it looked like it was really not letting fans go into the sellout. This whole thing stinks to high hell of that this is already a done deal and they are moving to Austin. And it seems it's really dirty. And
Yeah.
MLS is so complacent in it, and it it's ridiculous, and it sets a terrible precedent, and it sucks for crew fans who showed up in full force tonight and were awesome. It really makes me angry, and I hope the Austin team fails. Um, and I hope MLS learns its lesson in this because it sucks. The way they marketed this game all week, leaving keywords out, barely marketing it at all. Like it seems like you're trying to make it look like a failure, and crew fans are trying to make it look like a success. And realize that if you treat the fans right there, they do have enough fans to make that team a big success. And maybe you can get, if not a stadium downtown, maybe you can get a stadium and vast improvements on the stadium that admittedly needs
Yeah,
some.
it's not like that stadium does poorly for the team. It's just that yeah, it is outdated and yeah, it is kind of like a cheap high school football stadium from 30 years ago or something. It does need to be upgraded, but and I guess it would be cool to be downtown or at least closer maybe to the Ohio State campus or something. I have trouble believing that they couldn't find some way to work something there. Someplace in that town. There's just not enough competition, I would say. But at the same time, it is a college town, and so probably not the place to get a publicly funded team passed, but or is something for a rich old guy to to succeed with. So I don't know, but it's pretty ridiculous that MLS seems to be turning a blind eye to an absolute railroad of a job to try and move this team.
Not only are they turning a blind eye to it, they seem to be helping it along, which
I
is
guess. I mean,
sucks.
I'm not necessarily willing to say that they are complicit in it. I take that back. I'm not necessarily willing to say they are responsible for it or, like that they're fully to blame for what's happening. But I do think they're complicit in what's happening.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, on the field, uh, Toronto basically achieved what I think that their game plan indicated they wanted to do. Columbus was the far more of the attacking teams, especially late. It seemed they did not get a goal, as you said. That is, it's as you know, it's not catastrophic for them by any means, but I'm sure they would have liked one. Toronto just, they just wanted to get it back to Toronto, where Josie and Giovinco are going to be back, and they're planning on scoring some goals there. But we shall see. What's the let's see what the check in here on the other game. Still looks like it's Seattle 1, Houston nothing in the 21st, according to the internet. So it's probably a little bit farther along than that. But this is the point in the year where I kind of like the MLS playoffs. I'm not a gigantic MLS fan. I like it because it's the product that's right in front of me, especially in the summer. I don't like baseball that much. So if I want to go spend some money on soccer and watch the Fire and consume some MLS, then is normally when I do. Usually when the European leagues roll back around in the fall, I kind of fade away from my MLS interest, and then it picks back up this weekend or this week when the conference finals start. So setup of the MLS playoffs, but I like it from this point on after the international break. So hopefully we'll have some interesting ones. Got to wait another 8 days or something for both games. So
there was an international break?
Apparently, yes.
For what?
Teams that are going to the World Cup.
What's the World Cup?
Do we need to put World Cup team back on our jerseys for you?
That's what I should start wearing. Oh, God.
Just start from square one. If you guys don't know, the U.S. actually did, I think in 92. I don't think they didn't in 94, but I think it was 92.
It was 90. It was 90 through 92 or 3. It came off before
right in there,
94, yeah. I believe. Yeah, I know it did. I have to think about my jerseys here. Give me a minute. I could go get one. It said World Cup team. That was back in the days when Alexi Lalas was on a flight, and some old woman asked him what he did for a living, and he said, "Well, I'm a soccer player." And she said, "Well, what do you do for a living?" And he's like, "Well, I'm a soccer player."
Robert, we will talk about CONCACAF Nations League. That was on the list.
I want to know why it's not called League of Nations, but
that's what you're calling it, League of Nations. Let's do that now. Let's talk about that now, because I know your feeling on it, so I'm gonna have you share your feeling, and then I'm gonna ESPN you, and I'm gonna embrace debate.
Okay, because I was gonna say
I'm gonna Stephen A you and take the counterpoint.
In general, my feeling is this is more CONCACAF pandering to tiny nations, giving them more games at the expense of teams that maybe deserve more games. Instead of seeing us play friendlies against teams that we might actually like to see the U.S. play, we're going to have more games against TNT. And granted, maybe we need to have some experience against TNT to show these guys that, I don't know, stop fucking up when you go to TNT. But I don't see a lot of value to the growth of the sport by more games against what is a crappy conference. And you can lump us into the crappy part of that, because we certainly haven't shown that we're better than that. But I still don't see, realistically, there are levels of like strata or whatever within CONCACAF, and certain teams are in the top 3 to 4. I guess you could maybe even say 5 at this point, but probably 4 teams. Then there's the next 3 to 4 who could be good but aren't quite there. I think Canada fits into that mix. Then you got just kind of have everybody else. You could put probably Jamaica, Canada, maybe TNT. It's probably fair since TNT is better than Canada generally. But these teams that like are decent, but they're not the best in the conference. They're not going to like wow anyone. They can just get a crappy luck of the draw win against a very underperforming, rather pathetic U.S. team. But teams that like aren't exactly, they're not going to light anything up. They probably won't make the World Cup, but they're not terrible. And then you kind of have everybody else that you're like, oh wait, they're in our conference, and this is just going to see more games for them. And while on the one hand, I understand the broader goal of FIFA in terms of it wants to support global football. It wants to see, growth of the sport worldwide and improvement of the sport worldwide. And so I understand the idea that, hey, if you give these countries more opportunities, maybe they can improve too. The theory is the rising tide raises all boats. Sure, whatever. The reality of it is it won't. It's not going to do that much. And it's really only going to come at the expense of the bigger teams because in the end, so what if US and Mexico play each other 3 more times a year even? It's not going to change that much in terms of what either of us provide. And really, what I don't like about that is it just waters down the value of the rivalry. Part of the reason it's a rivalry is not just because we're both the 2 most powerful countries, probably. Maybe you want to throw Canada in the mix there, but we'll just forget they exist because that's how I prefer it. Says the guy wearing a hockey hat. Anyway, realistically, okay, the 2 most powerful countries in the conference, and in general, maybe discounting the current state of things, but the 2 most powerful countries, the 2 largest, the 2 with kind of the most geopolitical issues between them, and that just adds to the air, the heatedness of the rivalry, the value of the game. If you play that game 10 times a year, it becomes much less important. Part of what stands out is because we only play each other maybe a couple times a year at best. All those games are important. I mean, you and I got in an argument with a guy in Philadelphia last summer during the Copa America when we were saying comments about Mexico, and he was like, "We're not even playing Mexico." And I was like, No. We're always playing Mexico. Every single game, we're playing Mexico because they're judging us and we're judging them. Every game we play, we are playing them. If this turns into the U.S. and Mexico play each other on a very regular basis, I don't see the value in that. We lose the special aura of that game. And those are the big reasons why I don't like this.
All right, so I'll start off by saying I agree with you, but I've been trying to see this from the other point of view because there are smart people out there who think that this is a good thing. And so these are the points that I'll concede. This is where I think, they might be right. We went to Europe a couple of years ago and beat the Netherlands and Germany in back-to-back friendlies. And I was very excited about that. That meant nothing. Going there is cool and fun and great, but ultimately that meant nothing. It's not like we're better than we were before that. The one thing we seem to struggle with lately is playing in CONCACAF on the damn road. This will give us more opportunities to do that in games that count and hopefully overcome our problems with doing that. Although the new group of players is mostly going to come from Europe, it seems. We have a shitload of guys around Europe playing and breaking through at this time. So I would think our 2022 squad will be mostly playing in Europe instead of a 75-25 MLS team like Bruce Arena probably would have preferred. So, it's more travel for those guys to have to come over here, and those guys are probably a little more accustomed to playing in hostile environments than around here. But yeah, we need help playing on the road in CONCACAF. Maybe this can help us. Maybe I'm wrong to think that playing against European teams and friendlies and South American teams and friendlies I don't want to lose because I don't, but maybe I'm wrong about that. What am I crazy to even entertain these thoughts that this could be a good thing?
I have heard some good arguments. If you guys don't listen to the Total Soccer Show, we have no relationship with them. I will just recommend this because I find a lot of the stuff they do entertaining. They discussed this and gave a lot of positive reasons about why this could work out. Excuse me. One of them being that more meaningful games and no quote unquote meaningful means more opportunities to cap tie players So it could help us in terms of certain guys who are possibly open to a change now because they're not going to go to a World Cup next summer. Uh, so there's that. It puts us into actual meaningful games in the short term, not just looking at the Gold Cup. It can do more for our FIFA ranking because say we go to Europe and beat the Netherlands and Germany and Poland, things that we have done in the last, say, 10 years, whatever, the last few years, things that we've done in terms of visiting and getting wins against them, those friendlies mean next to nothing in the FIFA results. But a victory against Trinidad and Tobago doesn't just get you into the World Cup, it counts way more in the rankings. So more meaningful games mean more valuable games in the FIFA World Ranking scores, which could ultimately, if we start winning more games and say, don't fumble our way into missing a World Cup, result in a better ranking and a better draw then for us in a World Cup. So there are reasons to support this, and I get the idea. I'm still not willing to say I'm in the on the bandwagon with supporting it. I still see too many negative sides to it, but I do understand the positive argument for it.
More opportunities for away matches for us to go to the Caribbean. And by us, I mean you and I, not the team. Like we could go see Simon in
we can go to
Jamaica.
I was just going to say, we can go to Jamaica, hang out with Simon, drink some Red Bull, do other
or Red
things,
Stripe.
eat some. Oh. Well done, God. I'm the one who will I've had like one sip of Red Bull my entire life.
Red Bull sucks.
I can't stand that stuff. Oh, it's
Red
terrible.
Stripe is good.
Red Stripe on the. I love jerk chicken. Actually, that's what my girlfriend and I were going to have on Thanksgiving because we are child free on Thursday. But it looks like we're just going to go out and watch soccer and see what happens. So we may end up eating like Chinese because I have convinced her that dumplings are the best thing ever.
I thought you believed fried chicken is the best thing ever.
I meant next to fried chicken. Like next to fried chicken and bone-in ribeye and crown roasted pork. So I don't mean like the absolute. I mean like I also believe toasted ravioli, proper meat-filled toasted ravioli, is superior, but it's just another dumpling. Like I was watching Mario Batali talk about maybe it was ravioli. I don't remember. He was talking about dumplings. He was talking about how like every society or every culture in the world has some sort of dumpling and how they're all amazing. And it's true. Like when you start thinking about all the different kinds of dumplings, they are like all of them are awesome.
That's not surprisingly Leipzig likes Red Bull. Pulling the company line there. Good for you. And
zero anonymity.
Yeah. Are you going to murder your children on Thursday? Is that what's going on?
No. I was going to note though. You're right. No Alexi Lalas. No one's. Do you mean Alexis Sanchez? Since you're talking about Arsenal, yeah. You're right. Wenger is a senile old man, and when Alexis leaves, we are going to suck.
Just so everyone's aware. And sorry, Sandra, we stole Dortmund's Diamond Eye, which I don't know that Arsenal will do the right things. He'll tell them who to get. It doesn't mean they will. We have lots of problems with our own team, but it was good to see them beat Tottenham.
Whoever that other team was.
Yeah. And I should point out that I know how to correctly say that, but Americans not knowing how to say Tottenham. Yeah.
Tottenham Hotspurs.
Yeah, that was nice. Because
Bladder.
Harry Kane's mouth is still open after that one. Was today even for the Dortmund match. So yeah, Dortmund is crashing hard. I don't understand how Peter Bosz has still's got a job, but Arsene Wenger still has a job.
While we are discussing Dortmund, though, we need to talk about just called Pulisic the best player on their team. That's alongside Aubameyang, a few World Cup winners.
I would say that.
I
Like
thought the
that,
same thing.
yeah, it was the writer is Jack Pitt Brook for The Independent. He said that Pulisic is uh, Dortmund's quote best and most important player. And the tweet for said article, which came out yesterday, the day before, something like that, called him the player of the 2020s.
Yeah, yeah, that was the part I was like, wow, start to think about that.
Sent it out there from the USfanTV Twitter account, an account you should follow. Uh, Basically, just like, look, it's not just Americans, and oh my God, like I don't know that this is accurate. I mean, he's hurt, but Dortmund still has Marco Reus. Uh, they've got Aubameyang. I don't even know that Pulisic is the best player who's played in America on that team. So Nevin Savotic is pretty awesome when he's healthy. I mean, Pulisic's great. Don't get us wrong. We hype him every week, but my God, that article just took it to another level. That was the most glowing thing. I wrote this. It's seriously the most glowing piece I've ever read about a U.S. soccer player from a non-American journalist. I mean, yeah, awesome, but that's a lot to live up to in that piece. So I think Chris left. Net does he seriously have there? Like, this is at his home, so he's probably. I mean, most of the time, he's out in his car trying to do the show. We understand why he drops out then, but like he's at home, which you would think that he'd have a rock solid connection. There he is. He's back.
I don't know what happened. Like everything crashed here on me.
I cannot believe you and technology are having issues.
I think it's that we have Uverse. AT&T, you are shit. AT&T's on the list of things we hate. God. Just randomly. Oh, nope. Ugh.
So yeah, if you haven't read it, if you haven't read the piece, go read it. Jack Pitt Brook from The Independent. And it's not just he's not writing about Christian. He actually interviews Christian for the piece too. But the most interesting things to me were not the things that Christian said, but the things that were said about him. So just absolutely glowing and makes you wonder if he's going to be there much longer. I hope they can get their sinking ship righted for him because I like where he is right now. But this guy seems to think that, the player of the 2020s, although Messi territory, that doesn't seem fair yet.
Yeah, that he definitely hasn't achieved. But I did like the point about, Messi was born into it or whatever. Ronaldo earned the pressure. Pulisic just had it thrust upon him. I mean, it's true. He is at 19 already the face and effectively the voice of U.S. soccer.
Yes. Which the last time we had a guy who was in Germany and tried to be the face and voice at this young, wasn't even this young, he had his issues. Christian doesn't seem to have the same sort of problems that Landon had with the mental side of things. And Landon has acknowledged his mental issues, which I give him tons of props for. I think it's awesome. Christian seems like he seems too good to be true sometimes with how well he handles the media, he handles the pressure, he handles the spotlight. Just seems to have it. And this piece, it may have been a little bit too glowing, but only because I'm scared of what, we've seen. We were really careful for the first 6 months of this show to not overhype him too much until it became evident that he was really freaking good. Yeah.
It didn't matter what we said. It was
yeah. And there's that whole, are we overhyping a player thing that I get uncomfortable with, but I don't think so. Maybe this article did, but it's not us doing it then.
One of the points that Alexi Lalas made that I think was actually really good, for as much as we're the same about sometimes sliding Lalas for some of the things he says, it's because he does play that Don King role where it's like he'll say one thing that's actually really, really good, really valid, but he'll blow it up into a point that's like, well, let's not take that far. But one of the things I really liked was he said, look, We need to find guys like Pulisic who, even with the hype, find a way to succeed anyway. It's going to take guys who can succeed, who don't just, wilt under that pressure, who take it, put it on themselves, go, yeah, but I can do this anyway, before the U.S. will truly take a step forward. And I think that's a fair point that, Donovan stumbled when he had all of it put on him. I think Donovan faltered a lot for the U.S. when he had that stuff. It wasn't until really 2010 where he sort of kind of, I guess you'd say, accepted who he was and what his role was, that he sort of blossomed again. For so long, he was landy cakes, even to those of us who liked him, because it was like, yeah, but he's going to have something like, oh, he'll get upset about something. And for everyone saying, but he took that that time off. Okay, sure. But at that point, I think he'd sort of recognized who he was. And it was like, yeah, but I know I can get away with this. Like, I can take a sabbatical. What are you guys going to do about it? Yeah, but you're going to need me either way. And so in that regard, I guess I kind of see it, or give him a bit of a pass there, because he recognized that he finally appreciated maybe the value he held to U.S. soccer on the whole, and was ready to exploit it.
Yeah, to be fair, he doesn't. If he's playing for a European club team, they're not letting him go on sabbatical.
Yeah. Oh, and that's where, he wasn't challenging himself at the highest level. But it really took until fairly late in his career for him to truly, I think, appreciate or understand what he represented to U.S. soccer and be able to play with that pressure. This is something we're seeing Pulisic do at an age that should still astound him. I mean, I remember going to the '94 World Cup as a 17-year-old just to sit in the stands, and was blown away at the spectacle of it, everything that was going on. This kid was playing in Champions League at effectively the same age, and it didn't faze him. Here he was suddenly playing in World Cup qualifiers for his country, and accepting it all, and then coming back and like making a Facebook Live video or whatever, going like, yeah, that's my sister.
Yeah.
What's up?
Here, let me pull the segue lever. And who does he play this weekend? If he is playing. All right, let's say Christian comes back. He's got this muscle issue. Let's say he comes back this weekend. He's playing Weston McKinnie and Schalke. Both start. I really hope they both start. That's a big moment right there for U.S. soccer.
Pretty much the future, all but assured to be the future of U.S.
playing
soccer.
Each other in a derby.
Yeah,
that's a big moment for U.S. soccer. Considering we just had our worst moment in a long time, maybe ever. This is a great moment that hopefully we'll laugh about. I don't want to say we'll laugh about it. I'll never laugh about missing this World Cup, but we'll look back on it as not that big of a deal. We'll look back at it on maybe as
in
we would have
40
lost
years, maybe
anyway.
if and when we win one, we can laugh about the fact that we missed one.
That's the key. Yeah. I don't think we're in any position. I don't think we're going to win one for a long time, but we've got a lot of really good players coming up and challenging themselves at a high level, and we're probably going to be hosting the World Cup in 2026. If we can get our shit together, it starts with a quality president, that starts with a coach, and then
a true evaluation of the
system. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things I like about what the board has discussed about what's going to happen with the vote for president is that they are saying they're going to evaluate the complete body of soccer in the United States, so that they can look at where do we need a coach, what do we need a coach to do, what do we want this coach to do, what is their next goal. It sounds like much of what we've been saying. There's more to this than simply picking the best manager, because based on, say, the game a week ago now, whatever it was a week ago. do we still suck? Are we still that same shitty team that lost to TNT a little over a month ago, or are we a different team now? Was that a one-off for these guys? Can we just say, yeah, but it was a Portugal team that was a mix of, they had a couple guys who will definitely be at the World Cup, and then they were sort of judging other players too, and it was a friendly, so what does it really mean? What are we now? Are we back to being a decent team that on its day can be a very good team? Are we still a shitty team? And these are things that I think need to be decided. And I like that U.S. Soccer seems to be, or at least is saying the right stuff, that they're going to evaluate that. They're going to look at what their opinion is. They're going to, possibly bring in people who will help evaluate that and, give them better guidance as to what should the organization do? What should we do as a country? What will actually move us forward? And to me, that's finally a positive thing.
That's
because too much of what I've feared is, oh no, we're just going to get senile again, and because he's entrenched there, good luck getting him out. I don't care who runs, and whatever, status quo will somehow return.
I hope not. What's interesting too is we were talking about this on Twitter a few days ago. Speaking of status quo, they've built up this $100 million plus nest egg rainy day fund. It's a nonprofit, so they're not taking it as profit, but hopefully, what to do with that? And we've obviously talked about scouting being a gigantic issue. Another one might be, somebody was complaining about the fact that he was trying to get a C license, and U.S. Soccer only had 25 C license courses for the entire country last year. Maybe we make it a little bit more accessible for people to get a decent coaching education, and then you've got people at the ground level all over the place who know a little bit more about what direction we're going to be pulling in and what we're going to be doing. So we don't have this crazy all over the place. Some places are playing by different rules, crap that goes on right now. Maybe take some of that money and make it a little more accessible and a little cheaper and easier.
I think that would be a big move, a much more positive thing. Yeah. Make some of those coaching licenses easier to get, cheaper to get, so more people will go achieve them. Really not
necessarily lowering the bar. That's not what we're talking about.
It's just about getting more people in the door, more allowing more people who might have the willingness to do it, but are like, I'm not going to spend $500 or whatever. And the cost goes up kind of dramatically once you get past the first two. Yeah. I mean, that was really why I stopped coaching. I was going to be required to get some licenses, and I was like, I don't want to pay for that. And the club was going to do it for me, but I was still like, yeah, but I've kind of had my fill with parents. I got things of my own to do. And okay, I'll see you later.
And as Sports Fan just pointed out, this is exactly why Iceland is in the World Cup. This is what they did.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Everybody's a great soccer coach in Iceland now. Like they made it easy and cheap and made it a point to do this, and it worked. So that's a no-brainer to me.
And just think, having coached youth soccer for I don't know how many years, a number of years, and I guess having played it, as a kid myself, I say parents are some assholes. Get more decent, more people have some idea what they're doing. Not just the couple parents who are willing to step in and be the coach on some of those youth teams, but more parents who might be on the sidelines. And maybe you'll stop having some of that. I'm teaching my kid to do this one thing that's totally not what the rest of the team should be doing, or maybe there's greater benefit across the board.
Yeah, I've seen that. I told my kid to be really aggressive, so they're playing way the fuck out of position stuff that you're not learning how soccer works then. You're just running around after the ball. But yeah, if we could get that to happen, that seems like it wouldn't cost anywhere near, it would barely take a dent out of the rainy day fund, and it would make a massive difference down the road. So they have a U.S. Soccer has an F license. They started it. I've talked about this before. It's $25. It's a couple hours online, and it basically teaches the very, very basics of teaching little kids how to play soccer. And it was good for me because even though I played, clue on what to tell a 4-year-old who might or may not be interested in soccer. And it really focused on that. But they never marketed it.
Yeah.
Like they didn't let people know. Like every parent who's volunteering to coach at everywhere should be given a flyer saying, hey, you should try this. This will, make it free. It doesn't matter. Like cover the cost and say, go take this course. You'll learn a lot. It's free. It's 2 hours. It'll make you a better coach. It's a no-brainer to me. And so it's not where I expected the show to go, but it's important. So what have we covered today? We've talked about the MLS conference finals, the 0-0 draw in Columbus, and what I hope is not the last game there. Even though they're saying they're going to play there next year before they move to Austin, this whole thing has a really bad feel to me.
Yeah.
Feels like the Indianapolis Colts, the stories you hear of just pulling a team out in the middle of the night. It feels very dirty. It's not the last game there, but I found it interesting that a guy who scored a brace there in 2009 against Mexico to win was booed heavily. But you know what? People have short memories, and people are obviously mad at Michael Bradley right now, and I understand that. It looks like Seattle is up 2-0 at the half. I haven't seen a second of it because we've been doing the show. So we're going to get off the air here in a second. I'm going to go watch the second half. What else have we talked about? We talked about the Christian Pulisic article in The Independent by Jack Pitt Brooke, the most glowing piece I've ever read on a U.S. soccer player by a foreign journalist. We've talked about
USSF.
Dortmund's trouble. Yeah, USSF. We talked about the looming derby between Dortmund and Schalke, which hopefully will put Christian Pulisic and Weston McKinnie on the field against one another, which is going to be great if it happens. Yeah. And Leipzig's asked you 97 times about why Jimmy Conrad isn't on the show. He's not on the show because he's not on the show.
Oh yeah. We need to hit that dude up.
Every time I see Jimmy Conrad, he's working for Coke. He can't really stop working for Coke and throwing sunglasses to people.
I don't think anyone can stop working for Coke.
No, it's true. It's so true. All right.
I hate you guys for white chin, but that's pretty funny. I'll give it to you.
Chris has had gray hair as long as I've known him, and I've known him a long time. He's had gray hair since when I had hair. That's how long. This is USfanTV. We have the website, USfanTV.com. We have the Facebook and the Twitter and the Instagram, and we don't like the Snapchat, and you know where to find us on the Craigslist. And we do have the YouTube. Thank you for your support on here and your subscriptions. I'm going to keep pointing this direction, even though I don't know for sure that it's there. Maybe it's there. I'll figure this out someday.
It's not up there? It's not.
I don't think it's up there. Subscribe. Tell your friends to do the same. We appreciate it. It's great. It's amazing. Thank you. That's all the things, right?
All the things.
All the things. We're not going to do a show Thursday.
All the things.
Thursday is Thanksgiving here in the United States of America. We're not going to do a show. We're going to be passed out on.
Give your thanks. We are thankful for all of you guys.
We are. Most of you guys.
I'm not really one to say something genuinely nice without insulting someone at the end of it, as Pat well knows. So I'm going out a limb here and forcing myself and saying thank you all for watching. We really appreciate it. It's hard to believe it's been more than a year now. And somehow you guys still tune in to listen to what we have to say. And on that thought, or on that note, you're done.
Yep. We'll see you guys next Tuesday. Sounders and Houston are on now. Go watch them. Looks like the Sounders are rolling. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving!
You're done.